Hello there. Well, what I'm going to show you is the slinger stitch. And interesting story about this stitch is someone showed me a picture of a stitch that a pattern that they really liked, and they didn't know how to do it. And we don't know where the picture came from, but I thought to myself, okay, well, I will try to make a stitch that looks a bit like that for him, or her, I mean. And I'll use my own stitches, so it will never be a copy of that one because it's going to look different, but it's going to have a similar kind of look to it. So this is it, and it's got these bobbly things coming down the middle, and then there's going to be these bobbly things in between the rows. We'll do 4 rows, then the bobbly, and then 4 rows, and then the bobbly that goes right across. And then the one peg will be the bobbly all the way down. So, and this is my twisted owl stitch in here. And I like twisted owl. It's a nice fast stitch. It has more texture than a lot of stitches. I knew it would work good with these bobblies because it's a longer stitch, and if you had a short stitch you'd have problems because this wouldn't quite work right. So as it gets longer you'll see it better, but you can see these bobbles are coming out quite nice here. And here's what it looks like. The bottom I did in the crochet chain cast on, and there will be a link in the description of the video. It's on my channel, this cast on. I'll show you how I'm doing my sides, and they have kind of a chain look, but I didn't slip them. I did an owl eye side, which gives you a nice tight kind of side, which I like better myself. And then your other side just looks like that. You can see the row of bobbles there, and you can see the bobbles coming down there. And then just looks different here, but it looks fine in the back. Okay, so we're on our rows that are going, and I've done 2 rows, so I do 2 more rows, and then I'll be doing a row of bobble. So we'll get caught up, and all I did was cast on. I did a row of owl eye, and then I started coming back in the twisted owl stitch. And if you want to do 1 row of owl eye, but you could do a row of anything. You might even want to do a row of purl and a row of knit, and then start into the stitch, however you like to start them. But I just did a row of owl eye, and then I went into the stitch. Now you need to do it on uneven pegs, and the reason for that is you need a middle stitch. So I am doing 11 pegs. You probably want to do wider than that if you're doing a scarf or something, but a thin scarf, 11 would be fine. I'm on a 3/4 inch gauge. This is from the Loops and Threads set, and it's the one molded piece, because they have more than one set that they come out with. And I'm using Charisma, and the Charisma doesn't have a label anymore, but this is what it looks like. It's a bunch of shades of gray and beige and white. So I'm just going to use that, and away we'll go. So I have 2 end pegs. I've marked them with green, and I've marked the other 2 end pegs, and then I've gone right to the middle peg and marked it with a little green marker. So I've marked that, and then I've marked my 2 edges. You can do any edge you want. I like the owl eye edge, especially with this stitch, because it blends right in with it. So I've done my edge, and I'll show you that when we get down there. We'll start right into the twisted owl stitch, and we do our mark stitch different. So for the twisted owl stitch, you come behind it, round, and you're doing basically, this is an E-wrap. You knit it off. You're still on the same peg. You come around the front doing a U-wrap, and you knit it off. So E-wrap, knit it off, same peg, come around and do a U-wrap. So E-wrap, come around and do a U-wrap. And that's all there is to this stitch. Then we hit the marked peg. Now this is the peg that we're doing the bobble on. So how we do that is come around the front and go around and come around the front again, and do this quite loosely. Come around and in front again, and now you've got 1, 2, 3, 4 loops. So you're going to come around one more time because you're going to be picking up those 4 loops. So if you got too tight, here's where you're going to loosen them, because you want to be able, we're going to purl them over. You're going to need them loose enough. So make sure they're loose enough. Then you go down, pick them all up, and I'm just going to make sure I've got them all here. There we go, all 4. I'm going to come back, purl it. So I'm going to pull up that thread, put it over, and they're all purled together. And then you should see on this right hand side here just a bunch of work, and that's what you want to see whenever you do this bobble stitch. Then I don't know if it's actually the bobble stitch, but it's a bobbly type stitch, so we'll say that, because I just worked this stitch out myself, so I don't know if it's out there anywhere, but it's a bobbly type of stitch. Okay, we're going to go into a E-wrap, U-wrap, doing the twisted owl stitch. All the way through we'll be doing the twisted owl stitch. So this is all there is to it. Very easy stitch. 2 stitches on every peg. Okay, and then we come to the end here, and what we're going to do here is an owl eye edge. So we come over this peg, knit it off, re-wrap that peg and go over in front of the next peg, knit them off. I'm going to come back over very loosely and knit it off. And remember that we're doing a bobble in the middle, so we don't want this edge to get too tight. So make sure it's loose. You can even go like this a little bit. Make sure these stitches are nice and loose. And you're going to come over in the second stitch, but there's nothing to knit over here because it's a different stitch, so we just do the 1 stitch over it. Then we come and do our E-wrap with the U-wrap on top going this way. Twisted owl stitch, E-wrap, and the U-wrap going this way. E-wrap, U-wrap going this way. Come to the marked peg, we go over it once, nice and loose, twice, 3 times. Now we have 4 rows of yarn. We come back over to do the purl, keeping it nice and loose, and this is your chance now to loosen it if it's too tight. You don't want it to be so tight you can't get that over. Pull up the yarn you're going to use to purl, and this yarn will be going on that side. If you can't go over with your fingers, then you can just use the loom hook to ease it over, down, and pull. Now your work will be going this way. And this is row 4. So the next row is a row of bobbles, or the bobbly thing. Okay, E-wrap, U-wrap, E-wrap, U-wrap, E-wrap, U-wrap. The twisted owl stitch is on my channel if you want to go just look at the stitch. Now we're at the edge stitch. Go over it in a U-wrap, wrap both of them, and come back. And that's all you do in most of your rows except for the row we're going to do the bobbly all the way across. So here's what we do different. We're just going to go back and come over it once more. The reason we're doing that is when we do the row of bobbly stitches, they're going to be a very long stitch and our edge is going to get too short and too tight. So we're doing this extra one like this when we do a bobbly row. Okay, and that just lengthens this right here so it stays nice and square, and that's what we want. Okay, so we go over it once, nice and loose, twice, and 3 times. And watch, we're always going in a U-wrap way, and then again, and then again. So we have 4 stitches on here, and then we come back around one more time like this to purl them all over. We're going to make sure they're nice and loose, and if they're not, you can pull them one at a time like this to loosen them up. You want to keep this loose so it's easy to knit over or to purl over. So there we are, yarn's on this side. You take your loom hook to just ease it over and snug it up, and then your yarn is coming this way. Then 1, 2, 3, and you've got 4 on here. You come around one more time because you're going to pick up 4. Always count 1, 2, 3. Ah, see, I have 5 on here. So come back around and then I've got 1, 2, 3. Come around, we're picking up 1, 2, 3, 4. One more. So you always look and check. Make sure you have the 4. Now I have the 4. I'm loosening them up, and up comes my yarn, and I'm just going to purl them over. There they are. And then the next one, 1, 2, 3, we come around. There's 4 here to pick up. Make sure they're loose. Purl. Up comes the yarn. And we just purl it over. And then it should come to the side like this. You don't want to pull it super tight. Just want to snug it up. Okay, same thing. And you've got 1, 2, 3, 4. You come around and you're just going to purl that. This one's always a little bit harder to purl because it's shorter, and a little bit because I have the marker there, but not too bad. And then ease it over and down and snug it up. Okay, so as you see, we've done our 4 rows. There's where our bobbly row was. There, you can see it better at this angle. It's got a lot of texture right here. And our next one's going to go there. So we're always going to have a section about this big in between them. Now, if you want to change the pattern slightly, you can put every 3 rows, you could put in the row of bobbles, or you could even not have the middle bobble and just have them in rows. Or you could, as you're going bigger, have more rows of the bobble. Mark more of them and have more of the bobbly rows that go down. So you can change this however you like it, however it's going to work for you. I'm just going to put you on pause as I do the next few until I get down to here so we can keep the video to a nice size so I can actually upload this in just a few hours. Okay, so I'm down here now to the last 2 pegs. So we're going to do the owl eye edge, over, round, over 2, back over the 2, nice and loose. And because we just did that bobbly row, We come back again and go over it one more time. And then that's just going to make our edge come longer, just like that. So it squares, it's square again. And as we go a little bit longer, it'll be less square, and then we will be doing that extra stitch across at the end. I don't know if the camera really picks up these beautiful bobbles. I really like them. A lot of texture there. And then the bobbles coming down the middle here. Okay, so now we do 4 more rows of just going across in the twisted owl with the only bobble being the green marked peg, and then another row of the bobbles, and we just keep going like that. So I'm just going to work ahead a little bit, and then we'll look at where we are. Okay, so I've done a couple more rows, and that's now we're down here further so you can see more what the bobbles look like. And so here it is. It's a nice little pattern. I really like it. And here's the bobbles here. As they get further down, they'll look like this. Oh, I'll come to the side again so you can see all the texture in these bobbles. There's lots of different ways to do bobbles, so this one could be out there somewhere. Someone did it somewhere, likely, because it's just wrapping the peg and purling it over a number of times, but maybe not. Anyway, you can sort of see there the bobbles, and then the ones that are coming down the middle. And because we've done that, they have, this is stretched out. If you had thinner yarn, more lacy, it would look more like this. If you had a thicker yarn, then what's going to happen is it's all going to come, well, this is pretty bulky already, but if you had a bulkier yarn, a little bit narrower loom, this would all come together quite a bit more tighter. Your bobbles would look more like that in the middle, and it would look more like that. But here we go with the charisma on this loom, and then you get this look. And your other side looks like this, and it looks kind of nice, I think, because you've got the bobble coming up here. The pattern on the back looks fine. So if you wanted to use this for a scarf, it would look good. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed the stitch. When you go to cast off, I'll also have the cast off linked on the description, and it'll be the cast off that I believe matches this the best. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and until next time, we'll see you. Bye.